I am so excited because today I'm finally breaking out a bunch of Christmas decor and I'm going to slowly start decorating the house. I definitely have some things that I want to get done first that are more like DIY, so I'm going to start there today. I'm also starting on my first batch of Christmas cookies for the season. These aren't my typical cutout Christmas cookies. I like to save that for a little bit closer to actual Christmas, but I want to go ahead and try a recipe that is similar to my thumbprint recipe that I've made before that uses almond flour. So I'm going to make some that use a mixture of all-purpose flour, or you could use a gluten-free all-purpose flour, and then I'm combining that with a little bit of almond flour. We're gonna have 2 parts all-purpose flour to 1 part almond flour, which I love because it just makes like a nutty cookie and it has great texture. It's nice and kind of flaky. And I'm gonna make Linzer cookies. And if you're not familiar with them, these are the cookie cutters that I like to use for them. They're basically like a really delicious buttery cookie with a little bit of nuttiness from almonds and almond extract. And then inside you can sandwich them. They're kind of like a sandwich cookie. There's 2 different thin layer cookies. You're gonna sandwich them together with a little bit of jam in them. So I'm gonna use part store-bought jam, and then I might throw a couple in the mix that have some of my homemade blueberry jam. And for the jam, you can use all different kinds, so you can really tailor it to what you like. But what I think is really fun is to just put a little bit of a healthy spin on it. And so one of my favorite jams, I buy this at Sprouts, but I think you can find it lots of different places, is the Smash Superfoods jam. I like this one because it doesn't have any added sugar, and so it's basically just pureed fruit. It has really clean ingredients. It's strawberries, dates, chia seeds, lemon juice concentrate, some pectin, and some rowan berry extract. So it's very simple, but this just makes a really nice, healthier version of a Christmas cookie, and it's a really fun one to swap at Christmas parties too. So I'm gonna show you this and how I make it today, and it's also great because you can make it completely gluten-free if you want to. So now I have my tea ready and I'm ready to start baking, and I want to make the dough first before I start decorating because this needs to sit in the fridge for about an hour or 2 to chill and really set up before we start using these fun little cookie cutters. I'll make sure I have this recipe for you, but it's so easy to make and they just have the most beautiful classic flavor. You can make them all sorts of different ways, but I love the ones that have a little bit of lemon zest, that hint of citrus, and then of course good vanilla and a little dash of almond extract just gives it that classic Christmas cookie flavor that makes you wonder what's in there. So I mix together that butter and sugar until it is light and fluffy. I'll scrape it down a few times to make sure everything is combined. Then I'll add in the egg, the lemon zest, the vanilla extract, the almond extract, mix that all together, and then I'll add in my other dry ingredients. With Linzer cookies, it's really important to make sure that your dough has chilled. So I'm wrapping it in plastic wrap, and I'm going to put this in the fridge for about 2 hours or so. And I'll even put it back in the fridge after I roll out one batch. I'll put it back in the fridge and make sure it's nice and chilled before I roll out any more. I have a bin here of goodies that I'm going to use to DIY some projects today. I'm not a big DIYer. I like doing it, but I'm not always the best. So I like to stick with simple projects, and I have a few today. So what I'm doing is in the kitchen, I want to have a cute little wreath that is going to hang on my kitchen window. And I needed one that was pretty small because it's a smaller window. And so I found this one, but I want to make it a little bit more me and just kind of personalize it. So I'm going to add my own ribbon to it, and I might even do a new bow here because this one's kind of small and it might be really nice to make a matching bow here. And then I've got 2 bigger wreaths, these, and I want to put these on my front 2 windows in my living room on the outside of the house. So I'm going to try to make some beautiful window wreaths out of these. They're just artificial and I love that because they're weatherproof and they're going to hold up outside even though they're not fresh. So I'm going to put these on the outside of my living room windows. Those are the 2 main windows you see in my house. So I thought, let's focus on those 2 for now. And if I like how they turn out, then maybe I'll do some more windows. I also have some fun window candles in here because last year I bought really nice window candles, but over time with my children, they kind of got messed up. And so I needed to repurchase new ones. And so I bought these, which I really like these. They're just battery operated and they kind of have an older vintage feel to them. And I didn't want the ones that came with the base. So I decided this year I would buy my own base separate and put them together. So I ended up finding these. I think they're really pretty. They're just kind of like a vintage inspired brassy gold color. And these will just be so pretty fitted right in there. So I'm gonna set these up in some of my more prominent windows in the house. And then there are a few other things we'll get to in a little bit.
There are so many beautiful wreaths that you can find at the stores, but there's something special to me about finding something and taking it home and making it your own. Even if it doesn't look any fancier, I just like the fact that it's a little bit more unique. So I found this ribbon about a month ago, I think, and I just ordered it online because I wanted something that still felt very classic Christmas, but a little bit softer and something with a natural material. So I ended up finding this one that is linen, and I love linen, and so it just has a simple red pinstripe on it, and I think it adds the perfect touch. So I'm taking that ribbon off that was already on the smaller wreath, and I'll replace it with this one, which I can use in other areas of my home too, so it all coordinates.
I almost forgot because I was busy with the wreaths for the living room and for the kitchen window, but I was trying to figure out what to do with this pantry piece. And my first thought was that I could put a garland along the top, along the thicker trim that it has. And I think it would sit nicely and be beautiful. But then I thought when I open the doors, it might get kind of caught up here. So I was trying to think of something else to do besides my same circle wreath that I have on the front window. So I thought about the garland at the top, but then I came across these, which I actually don't see very often. So it's this beautiful crescent shaped wreath, and it has mixed greenery in it, and then it has these beautiful blue, I think they're called lingonberries, and they're just like a dried looking berry, and I love the blue, and the shape is perfect to fit on the front of these doors. So I'm going to show you how I hang it because I have a little trick for that. And so I'm just going to put these right up here, and I think it fits so beautifully on these doors, and it mimics the natural arch that the doors already have.
took me a while to figure out how I could get my wreaths to hang up outside of my house because my bottom windows are the ones that tilt in and my top windows don't really move. So it's a 2-part window, but the top is just solid and it doesn't move. So I kind of had to make a faux hanging wreath. So I used the ribbon more for looks, and so I ended up using some clear Gorilla tape and I taped it up at the top of the window so that it would stay. But then behind it, I have these little copper latches, I guess you could call them, and they suction to the window or wood, and then you press down and pull the hook down, and it makes the perfect little wreath hanger. I'm gonna link them below in case you're looking for an option like this too. It's what I used on my pantry doors as well, and they are working so well. They just hide behind the wreath, and you see a little bit of that copper color, and it's just perfect for hanging these outside my house. Each year, I love making all sorts of different kinds of Christmas cookies, whether it's traditional Christmas cookies that we decorate with frosting, or these type of cookies that have some sort of thumbprint and jam in them, or I love gingerbread or thick German style gingerbread. There's all different kinds of cookies you can make, and I really want to start a cookie swap. That's something I'm interested in doing, so I need to try to work on that soon. But there are so many delicious cookies you can make this time of year, and it is one of my favorite things to do, specifically with my kids. It's something we all enjoy and we can come together and work on for just hours at a time. It's so fun to decorate, and of course it's fun to eat them as well. So we punch those out. Half of them are the bottoms that are solid, and then the other half have the cutouts. And while those cookies are baking, I decided for dinner tonight, we're going to keep it healthier, and I'm going to make a chicken salad. So I've got some mixed greens. I've got some pumpkin seeds that have this everything bagel seasoning on them. They're really good. And then I had some pre-cooked chicken breast, I think, and I just sliced that up and put that in the salad along with some pickled beets. That is something I have been eating a lot this kind of early winter, and they are so delicious and nourishing. There must be something in there that my body is just craving because they have tasted so great lately. I'm also putting some feta cheese, and then of course I'm going to make my own homemade dressing. So I pulled a shallot out of the pantry and I'm combining that with some chopped up fresh garlic, some maple syrup, some salt, and some pepper. I'm going to drizzle in some oil too and just make a nice olive oil based vinaigrette. I'm also going to add in a splash of champagne vinegar for acidity. These cookies really are so beautiful, but they're really easy to make. You just want to put a dollop of jam in the bottom of the cookie, and then on a separate piece of parchment, I went ahead and dusted the tops of the cutouts with powdered sugar because you want to make sure that that jam stays nice and vibrant. So you don't want to dust powdered sugar over it after you sandwich it. You want to do it separately. So then I will go ahead and put those dusted powdered sugar tops right on top and sandwich the jam in between. And these are so delicious. My kids gobble these up, and they were just a really special treat. I feel like holiday decor is so personal to who you are and who your family is. And I think it's beautiful that everybody decorates differently. That's something I really admire. It's not necessarily one style of Christmas decor that I think is beautiful. I think it's everybody's own unique take on it that makes it truly glorious. And so I find myself often just ignoring the trends and leaning towards the things that are classic and a little bit more rustic or old-fashioned. And so I like really simple garlands and stockings and vintage-inspired ornaments. These aren't true vintage, but I found them online. And since I still have kids that will break ornaments, I don't invest too much in them. But I thought these were so beautiful and really just brought that kind of vintage feel to our living room. And then, of course, there are all the homemade things that my kids like to put on the tree. And I am definitely not a perfectionist when it comes to the tree. I make sure my kids have their hands all over it so that it truly feels like theirs. I don't want it to just be a beautiful centerpiece to me or in our home. I want to make sure that my whole family feels like it's their tree and they took part in it. So I'm okay with homemade crafts and it looking imperfect because it brings so much joy to our home. We're not worried about it at all, and it just has a beautiful glow at night either way. So we tend to opt for more of a nostalgic tree, one that just feels kind of homey, and we'll probably never have one that looks that good because I think to myself, even when my kids are out of the house and I have the chance to decorate my tree perfectly, I hope that there's grandchildren coming to my house that will put their special touch on it anyway. So this is just something that we think is fun, and over the season, I think my kids run up to it and change where the ornaments go anyway. So this is something I truly do not stress about, and I do my best to make it beautiful, but I make sure the whole family is involved on this one.